Chapter 20 of Devotional Hours with the Bible, Volume 1, by J.R. Miller. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Read by Marianne. Chapter 20. From Prison to Palace. Read Genesis chapter 41. The story reads like a romance. In the morning Joseph was in prison. He had been there perhaps 3 years. He knew of nothing that gave any hope of release. In the evening he was wearing the king's ring, was arrayed in vestures of fine linen, had a chain of gold about his neck, and was honored as next to Pharaoh. God is always coming down to us through unlikely paths, meeting us unexpectedly. We do not know what little things in the life of our common days are links in the mysterious chain of providence affecting our destiny. We see here how important to Joseph was the coming to the prison of Pharaoh's 2 officers. Let us walk reverently along life's paths. We know not what most trivial occurrence any day may affect all our course of life unto the end. The touching of Joseph's life by these 2 prisoners from the palace was a link in the chain by which he was lifted out. Yet it seemed for a long time as if nothing would come of this touching of Joseph's destiny from outside. Joseph had told the 2 men in the prison the meaning of their dreams. As the chief butler went out happy from the prison to resume his old duties, he parted affectionately from his friend. "Think on me," Joseph had said to him, "when it shall be well with thee." Certainly he would remember, he said. But the record says, "Yet did not the chief butler remember Joseph, but forgot him." 2 years passed. Joseph, meanwhile, hoping in prison that his friend's influence at court would avail for his release. Let us learn not to forget our promises to show kindness to those in trouble. Is there someone, somewhere, suffering, shut in, mayhap enduring wrong, to whom once you gave the assurance that you would do something, would send some gift, would speak a word, would be a friend? Have you remembered or forgotten? You and I, out of the free air, hear the bird songs, and quaff the nectar of human happiness, and have joy and love for our portion. Let us not forget the Josephs in their prisons. They look for tokens from us to assure them that they are not forgotten. They expect our visits, some proof at least of kindly thought, some effort to give relief or comfort. You have in your heart's full cup that which will give strength and cheer. Do not think it is a small thing to put a little new hope, or courage, or gladness into a fainting human heart. It is helping God warm this world. It is helping Christ save a soul. Emily Dickinson writes beautifully, "If I can stop one heart from breaking, I shall not live in vain. If I can ease one life the aching, or cool one pain, or help one fainting robin unto his nest again, I shall not live in vain." As it came out, however, it was better that the butler did forget. The time had not yet come for Joseph's release, the time when the man's remembering would have meant most to Joseph. Pharaoh had a dream, a double dream. The dream troubled him. His wise men could not interpret it. Now at last the butler remembered. He told the king of the Hebrew slave who had interpreted his dream. Swiftly ran the messenger to the prison, and Joseph was called into the presence of Pharaoh. The king tells his dreams. A vain man would have had his head turned by such a blaze of royal splendor about him, but Joseph speaks with the humility of an unspoiled child. "It is not in me. God shall give Pharaoh an answer." Then Joseph told him the meaning of the dream. It was God's message to Pharaoh. There would be 7 years of great plenty in Egypt, and then 7 years of sore famine, and the famine would be so great that it would eat up all the food of the abundant years. Joseph then advised the king what he should do. Find a wise man to superintend the work, and let him gather the surplus food of the plentiful years, and lay it up in storehouses to meet the needs of the coming years of famine. This is the hour for which Joseph has been in training for 13 years. He was not the only man who had to wait long for his place in the world. It is very interesting, too, to trace the links in the chain of providence leading to Joseph's promotion. First, there were years of training to fit him for the position. During his long waiting, his character was matured, so that when the time came for his exaltation, he was discreet, wise, patient, strong, and ready for the most difficult duties. The long delay before promotion prepared him for the promotion. If it had come sooner, he would not have been ready for it. his slave life and prison life in humiliation had been schools for his public life in the blaze of royalty. He had been faithful in every duty. He had firmly resisted temptation to sin. He had kept his heart tender and pure as a little child's amid all the hard experiences of his life and all the corrupting influences of his circumstances. He had learned perfect self-control, and thus had been prepared for ruling over others. Then he never had forgotten God, nor neglected his religious duties. Perhaps in no other way could he have been so well fitted for the exaltation to which so suddenly he came. When Joseph had advised the king what he should do, the king instantly felt that Joseph was the man to take charge of the great work. Ability and fidelity generally bring one to the place one is really competent to occupy. This lesson is very important for boys and young men. It is not mere happy chance that lifts men to places of honor, nor is it piety alone. God never puts a man into a place which the man is not able to fill. If a man has abilities for usefulness, the world will generally find him, and find a place for him. It is always waiting for such men. A great merchant said recently that he had had 3 large salaried places waiting for months, but could not find the men for them. Scrambling for a place is not necessary, and certainly never is becoming. The true way to live is always to do one's duties well, and to make the most of one's opportunities for self-improvement and growth of character. Then the higher places will open as fast as one is ready for them. Life is a ladder, and the only way to get to the top is to take each step from the bottom upwards. It must be noticed here also that Joseph was not ashamed of his God even before this heathen king, and also that his religion was no hindrance to his elevation, but was really the key that opened for him the door of success. Fidelity to God and to duty earlier in Joseph's career sent him to prison, but in the end it brought him to honor. If we seek first God's kingdom and righteousness, he will guide us to the work we have to do. God knows those who honor him. Here this heathen king becomes the friend of Joseph and the hand of God in his promotion. He is also made to recognize and acknowledge the hand of the Lord. Note, too, that the king wants a servant of this God to look after the interests of his own kingdom. All this illustrates the truth that the Lord is God of the whole earth and controls all affairs. His hand moves and works in heathen kingdoms as well as in the nations that own and worship him. We need not be afraid of ever getting into any place where God cannot help us, where he has no authority and no influence. Pharaoh gave Joseph an Egyptian name, one suggested by the great work he was to do. He called him Zephanath-Paaneah. The name means bread of life. We are reminded of Jesus Christ, who called himself the bread of life, because he provided bread for men's lives, thus saving them from perishing in eternal death. Every one of us should strive to be worthy to bear in a certain way this same name. We should all be bread to others. We should live to do good to all who are under our influence, to be blessings to all whose lives ours touch. There are all about us people with hungry hearts, who yearn for sympathy, for love, for comfort, and we may, if we will, become bread to them by giving out to them of our own life. Joseph became the bread of life to people through God's wisdom imparted to him, by telling them of the famine that was coming, and then of the plentiful provision God would send before the famine came, so that they might lay up in store for the days of want and not perish. We also can become bread of life to others by warning them of the doom that is coming upon sin, and then by telling them of the salvation provided, so that no one need perish in the days of wrath. The lesson to be learned from Joseph's gathering and storing during the plenteous years is one all should learn. In everyone's life there are seasons of plenty, and then there come also years that are empty. It is wisdom's part to gather all the avails of the full years and lay them away in store for the years of need. Youth is a season of fullness. It brings opportunities for education, for study, for reading, for forming habits, for the culture of character, for the establishment of principles, and for full preparation for life's work or business. A boy may see no use in studying mathematics or grammar or the natural sciences, but some day he will come to a point where this very knowledge, stored away and lying unused all the years, will become available and will be all that will save his life from failure. A rich man's son may see no reason why he should learn a trade, or business, or profession. He will never have occasion to work for his living. But sometime the trade or profession will be the only staff on which he can lean amid the wreck of fortune. A young girl sees no use in studying so hard, and so she wastes her school days in novel reading and trifling. By and by she is thrown in society among intellectual, cultured people. But alas, she has no preparation for such a position. She is ashamed of her ignorance. Every day brings its mortifications. She laid up nothing in the full years, and now, when the hungry years have come with their necessities, there is no storehouse from which to draw. So one should lay up knowledge at every opportunity. It will become available at some time. Through the years of joy we should lay up comfort and strength for the empty years of sorrow that will come. All through life's vigorous period we should be laying up in store those things which will make old age happy and beautiful. Religion may seem unnecessary for the young. They have no sorrows to comfort, no wounds to heal, no burdens to carry, no dark passages to pass through. But it is better to have the lamps ready lighted, even though their beams may appear pale in the sunlight, for the days of darkness which will come. Then how precious the beams will be as they fall from the lamps of truth and comfort which hang in our hearts! And how desolate and despairing we will be in such days if we have made no provision in advance! This lesson is capable of almost infinite application. Because it has not been learned and followed, countless lives break down in their midday in the great first stress. The hungry years come on, and there is no reserve laid up in store. If we would be ready for whatever may come, we must use the opportunities which are given to us. In summer we must gather driftwood for winter fires. In harvest we must lay up for want. In wealth we must prepare for poverty. In time we must lay up treasures for eternity. Spread wide thy skirts, says an old proverb, when heaven is raining gold. End of chapter 20.